Humans once terrified themselves by watching films about vegetables that spoke and killed. The alien recruits did not believe the human at first. Species had clashed across galaxies, twisted steel with claws and endured pressures that would crush weaker creatures. Yet here stood Cadet Thompson, grinning wide, sharing Earth tales that, to them, sounded absurd. The message was not in brute force but in the reach of imagination. What unsettled the aliens most was that these horrors were sought out willingly. "You mean you chased fear?" asked your whose people avoided anything that caused stress, since tension made their scales crack and peel. "Yes," Thompson answered. "Lately, we queued up, paid tickets, and sat in the dark with food just to be scared for fun." The reaction was immediate, a hiss here, mandibles clicking there, and some shuffling uneasily. Thompson leaned closer, lowering his voice. "That was only the start. Fear for us is like weights in training. Bear it, grow used to the burden, and when real danger comes, it doesn't shatter you. It shatters the other side." The silence that followed carried weight. Aliens imagined battles where humans laughed while enemies faltered. It wasn't merely stamina, it was how humans shaped what others fled from into a weapon. The first proof came the next week. Their joint academy staged mock fights against holographic war drones. Aliens approached with structure, method, and sharp precision. Thompson walked onto the field with only a standard rifle, and his voice. He began laughing as the drones advanced. Not a soft chuckle but a booming laugh that echoed and stalled everyone's focus. "You think these things frighten me? Back home, spiders crawled out of toilets at night. The drones did not react, but the alien cadets did." Whispers rippled across their ranks. They were rattled not by machines but by Thompson's joy in facing them. He charged, yelling Earth phrases that meant little to outsiders. "This one's for the sewer clown. I survived middle school projects. This is nothing." The war drones collapsed one by one, but the true defeat was an alien. They didn't see a fighter resisting fear. They saw one thriving on. Afterward, Ural muttered to a fellow cadet, "If he can twist his own terror into power, what will he do with ours?" Rumors spread through the academy. Whispered humans hardened children by locking them in dark rooms filled with phones. Others claimed humans summoned nightmares on purpose to sharpen their instincts. Thompson neither admitted nor denied, only smiling each time. That made worse. During a mixed species drill, an instructor split the class into attackers and defenders. Thompson, the lone human, stood among the defenders. "Your goal is not victory but to test resilience," the instructor warned. Thompson smirked. "Perfect." The attackers struck with perfect formations, using flanks and suppressive fire. The defenders huddled, anxious, until Thompson gave a strange order. "Don't fire yet. Let them hear us first." His voice filled the comms. "My world, there's a legend of a faceless being that appears when you're alone in dark. Doesn't rush. It doesn't scream. Just stares until you break." His words dropped low, slow, even his own team shivering. "And it always begins with footsteps you can't place." Attackers on the channel slowed. Antennae twitched, claws shook. Then Thompson dragged his boot across the floor, the sound echoing. The assault froze. Oh, they knew it was training. The thought burrowed into their minds. He spun the story darker, sketching a predator that feasted on fear itself. Within minutes, their formation shattered, some rushing forward recklessly, others pulling back. The defenders barely fired before the attackers quit, undone by a tale. That night, a report spread: human cadet employs fear-based strategy. Psychological effects exceed predicted limits. Thompson grinned reading it. Fear, he knew, was not a hurdle but a weapon. Yet the shock was not the panic he caused but the strange respect that followed. Aliens who once mocked human quirks now eyed him with caution, wondering what horrors he might unleash next. The Academy was only starting to learn. For humans, fear wasn't the end of bravery but its source. Thompson, enjoying the growing legend, knew he had plenty more stories to tell. Aliens flinched when he simply clicked on a flashlight and whispered, "Boo!" The second stage of his reputation began, not with drills but with an exchange program. Cadets from 3 other species arrived, each with their own stance on fear. The Vadran were insectoid planners who thrived on swarm unity. The Jathri were massive-scaled giants who shunned all uncertainty. The soft-voiced Arinil were telepaths who shared emotions across their kind. All 3 received the same warning: do not be deceived by the human. His methods defy tradition. Thompson overheard the warning, smirked, and immediately began plotting how to make it worse. His chance came during a night drill designed to test stamina. Each squad had to cross a forest dome, packed with automated threats without breaking formation. The alien cadets prepared with precision, charting every path and angle. Thompson arrived carrying a backpack stuffed with glowing sticks. When questioned, he just shrugged. Tools of the craft. The whistle blew and the exercise began. The dome was silent save for the crunch of boots on synthetic. Shadows stretched endlessly. Every rustle snapped antennae upright. Thompson lingered at the rear, humming old Earth songs about monsters hiding beneath beds. At one point he cracked a glow stick and tossed it into the brush. The green glow turned branches into clawed fingers. Vadran clicked nervously, closing ranks. Thompson whispered through the comms, "Back home we tell tales of lights that lure travelers away. Follow one too far, and you don't come back." Gasps rippled through the squad. Some ignored him, but the Arenal made the mistake of absorbing his emotion. He projected exaggerated curiosity tinged with dread, and it spread like static across their psychic link. Soon even the logical began to feel hunted. The automated threats weren't the danger anymore, it was the thought of something else, unseen, stalking the trees. Thompson fed the fear carefully, never confirming or denying. One point he pointed toward a patch of shadow and muttered, "Did that just move?" The entire line froze. By the end, most cadets stumbled out shaking, some claiming they saw glowing eyes, others convinced something had followed them. The report stated half the squad failed due to psychological interference. Thompson walked out last, casually snacking. His reputation grew. Now it wasn't just that humans endured fear. They could create it. Rumors flared like sparks. The Vadran whispered humans must have evolved beside unseen predators. Jathri muttered that humans carried whole bestiaries of terror inside their minds. The Arenal avoided eye contact, fearing he could plant nightmares into their thoughts. Thompson leaned into the rumors, never correcting. He dropped just enough hints to keep the image alive. He spoke of haunted houses, prank shows, and theme parks where terror was sold as fun. He even joked about contests to see who could scare one another most creatively. The aliens listened in disbelief, yet also in respect. Weeks later, the Academy launched a massive wargame. 2 battalions drawn from every species were split into opposing armies. Thompson's side was outnumbered 3-1. On paper they should have collapsed quickly. Thompson had a different strategy. We won't win with firepower, he told his squad. We'll win with stories. He had them scatter sound emitters across the battlefield, machines meant to mimic gunfire. But instead of blasters, he loaded them with earth recordings. Wolves howling, babies crying, doors creaking, distorted laughter. At dusk, as the enemy battalion advanced in perfect ranks, the first emitter groaned low. The second whispered. The third erupted in deranged cackling. Marching feet faltered. Commanders barked orders, but more emitters activated. Footsteps circling. Static muttering. Aim. The faint cry of a cat in pain. Confusion spread like fire. Thompson's squad stayed hidden, striking only at the height of panic. A Jathri soldier fired wildly, striking an ally. An Arenal unit collapsed outright as panic cascaded through their link. The entire wargame dissolved into chaos as a battalion tore itself apart. Finally, Thompson stepped from cover, his squad behind him, and shouted across the field, "You've been fighting ghosts from our imagination, and we have thousands more." The enemy force surrendered not because of casualties but because they couldn't withstand their own fear. During the debrief, instructors struggled to categorize it. The official label was morale sabotage, but cadets had a simpler term: human warfare. Word spread to other fleets. Soon across the stars, they whispered of Earth. Some dubbed humans fear weavers. Others called them shadow tacticians. Thompson laughed at titles but noticed the shift. His species, once underestimated for its small size and softer bodies, now carried an aura of dangerous unpredictability. Aliens who once mocked humans now kept their distance. Yet from that distance came curiosity. Cadets cautiously approached, asking about Earth legends, requesting one more tale of horror. Thompson delivered spinning stories of headless riders, lurking cryptids, and faceless watchers. Beneath the jokes he carried one thought: if stories alone could break morale, what would happen in real war where fear was everywhere? Armies ran faster from campfire myths than from human weapons. Thompson never imagined his antics would spread beyond academy walls, but they did. Rumors traveled upward from cadets to commanders until an entire fleet wanted to test the fear-weaving human. Chance came during a multi-species operation. The rules were simple. One side defended a fortress dome, the other attempted to breach it. No deaths, just training. Thompson was chosen as strategist for the defenders, half in jest, half as a trial. The base itself was a plain block of steel and light. Yet to Thompson it was the perfect theater. He didn't begin by strengthening barriers, but by lowering the lights and scattering reflective panels within. He ordered smoke vents, simple projectors, and sound rigs. His alien allies were puzzled. "You're not preparing real defenses?" asked Ural. "Of course I am," Thompson answered with a grin. "Just not the type you're used to." The assault began at dawn. The enemy marched in ordered lines, expecting weak opposition. Then the first surprise unfolded. A dense fog poured from the vents, casting strange shadows over the walls. Panels flared with warped silhouettes that looked like shifting figures, too quick to verify, too vague to dismiss. The attackers slowed, uneasy. That was when the voices began. Thompson had pre-recorded whispers in several alien tongues. Phrases like, "Behind you, it's already inside and they're watching." The words echoed from every corner, impossible to locate. The invaders lost formation. Some claimed they glimpsed glowing eyes in the mist. Others fired wildly at nothing, wasting their shots. Hidden defenders struck from the shadows, dropping them one by one without exposing much of themselves. By the second hour, the enemy was unraveling. Their leaders tried to restore order, but even the boldest quailed when Thompson revealed his final act, a projection of a towering faceless giant striding through the haze. It wasn't real, not even solid, but the sight shattered their last bit of resolve. Squads dropped their weapons and fled. Silence returned to the dome, broken only by the humans' laughter. When the lights rose, instructors called the exercise complete. Officially, the defenders had triumphed by psychological rout, rarely seen in academy records. Unofficially, everyone knew a legend had been born. From then on, whispers of humans spread through corridors, fleets, and council halls. They were no longer dismissed as fragile animals or late arrivals to the stars. They were marked as a people who turned their own vulnerability into a weapon. Where others viewed fear as weakness, humans wielded it as a blade. Thompson became both warning and idol. Some cadets avoided him, unnerved by what horrors he might devise. Others crowded near, eager to learn of Earth's odd customs, haunted houses, horror stories, festivals for the dead. He told them all with the same mischievous gleam. Yet beneath the humor lived a steady pride. Humanity, he realized, had given the galaxy something unique, the lesson that fear was not the end of bravery, but the spark of it. His reputation followed him long after graduation. Wherever humans were deployed, enemy morale broke before combat began. Rumors alone of a human unit brought surrenders. What had started as campfire tales at an academy turned into a weapon across campaigns. Thompson never stopped spinning his stories, some stretched, some absurd, but each carried the same truth. Fear did not command humans. Humans mastered fear. And when they shared it, empires trembled. In the end, what began as a cadet's joke became a symbol of mankind's role among the stars. Not the strongest, not the fastest, but the ones who could enter darkness, grin, and make others run.